Welcome back to Friends and Neighbor. I'm here with Joanna, and we are here with Rebecca Cooper, and she's been talking to us about her book, and actually the things that led up to her book, which are all these little notes of conversations she overheard from her husband who died, and then these notes got stuck in purses and things, and then came back as a reminder of the things that God was doing in your life. So how did you put this all together to become a book? Was that something you said, oh, I want to go out and make this a book so everybody can read this?
Never occurred to me that this was going to be a book. When a friend of mine said to go find all these pieces of paper and pull them together, I did that, and they wound up in the big, black, ugly notebook like something you'd lug around on a college campus 100 years ago. And I made some copies for friends, particularly the book club I'm in at my church. And every now and then somebody would send me a message and say, the first one I ever got was my sister just lost her husband. Could I send her that book and let her read it? And I would get a message, and I didn't know this lady, and one day I got a message from her, thank you for letting me read this. It meant so much for me to realize I'm not crazy. And I thought to myself, lady, you may be crazy, but you're not alone. And then somebody else, you know, my best friend just lost her mother. I think it would be, could I give her mama's book? You know, I think it might help her and her dad. It turned out that lady worked for a publishing company. And then the next message I got was, could you send them a digital copy of this? And I did. And then in 2014, the day my daddy died, I hadn't even made it home from the hospital, I got a message from the publishing company asking if they could publish the book. I could never have done this prior to that because of my commitment to him. And yet, in a matter of perfect timing, that message came in, and the publisher said to me, we believe that this book could help someone who reads it. And I said, all right, to that end, I will do, to the best of my ability, the things that you asked me to do. And that's what we've been doing.
That's awesome.
What a wonderful, wonderful transition and transformation of your story for other people to mend and heal
Hope so.
through Charles's conversation with God, and through your diligence and your courage to write your feelings and put them down, because you could have just heard the conversations like many people do and say, oh, that was a good feel, but to be encouraged and inspired to pen it and then compilate it and pass it on to others is sometimes a testimony in and of itself from your experience.
I think so, and you know, a couple of people have referred to it, and it certainly felt like an accident. But then when I look back now, I'm thinking, I don't think that was an accident. God can be a little tricky sometimes.
Right.
But in the moment, it can feel that way, or it feels purposeless, or doesn't have a thing. And then with some perspective, we look back and say, God was working throughout that whole thing. The whole time I was angry at him, he was working and loving me and caring for me.
And that's that Romans 8:28. And if we have that perspective and that perception, not going through, but on the other side of through, to show someone is going through, which is what you're doing now, we'll get it, you know, by and by, that perfection that we're talking about is even made in our weakness. And in our pain, we're coming out with a tremendous purpose. And that's just the God that we serve. And like I said, we look at our Christ, and he's stretched, and he's sacrificed, and he's given for all of us. And Charles's life was not, his life definitely wasn't lived in vain, but his death obviously has proven itself to be very, very powerful for so many people.
I think so, and I think the opportunity to make something good come out of something bad is such a gift.
Yes.
And I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
From what little you've said of Charles, I just imagine him up in heaven dancing around going, see, I told you, I told you.
I did that.
And they're still talking about me down there.
If people want to get a hold of you, is there a website or something that
There
you do?
is.
What is that?
Hey God, yes, Charles.com, and then Facebook author page, Rebecca H. Cooper, and I'd love to hear from anyone.
Great.